Is 0% financing really as good as it sounds? In this video, we'll uncover the brutal truth behind those enticing offers. You'll learn when 0% financing can save you money and when it could lead you into a financial trap. Did you know that many people end up paying more in the long run? Let's dive in and find out how to navigate this tricky terrain wisely. Have you ever walked into a store and seen that shiny new gadget, only to be lured in by the promise of 0% financing? It sounds fantastic, right? But here's the brutal truth. While 0% financing can feel like a free pass, it can also lead you down a slippery slope. Imagine this. You buy that gadget today, but what happens if you miss a payment or forget about hidden fees? Suddenly, that 0% turns into a ticking time bomb of debt. So, when is 0% financing a smart move, and when is it just a dangerous trap? In today's video, we're diving deep into the pros and cons of this tempting offer. Before we jump in, if you find this content helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Chill Finance for Real Life. Your support helps us bring more valuable insights your way. Now, let's get started. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, legal, or tax advice. Always do your own research and consider consulting with a professional if you have specific questions or concerns. Now, let's explore the brutal truth about 0% financing. Alright, let's zoom out and get into it. 0% financing sounds appealing, right? Imagine buying a new car or a fancy appliance without paying any interest. It can feel like a deal too good to pass up. But hold on a second, there's more to this story than meets the eye. First, let's break it down. With 0% financing, you are essentially borrowing money for free. If you buy a car that costs $20,000 and finance it at 0% for 5 years, you'll pay $20,000 total, divided over those 5 years. That sounds great. But what if I told you that sometimes, this offer comes with strings attached? Here's a quick example. A dealer might offer 0% financing but at a higher price for the car. If you could have gotten that same car for $18,000 with a regular loan, you'd actually be paying more in the long run with the 0% deal. It's crucial to compare prices and not just focus on the financing rate. Now, let's think about another scenario. You might be tempted to take on a 0% financing plan for something you don't really need. Imagine buying a brand new television on credit when your current one works just fine. In this case, you could end up with a debt that doesn't add value to your life. So, when is 0% financing a smart choice? If you can pay it off quickly and avoid any hidden fees, it can be a useful tool. But if you miss a payment or don't read the fine print, it could turn dangerous, leading to high interest rates kicking in. Quick recap. 0% financing can be a great option if you do your homework and are disciplined about payments. But it can also lead to financial pitfalls if you're not careful. As you consider your options, remember that the best decisions come from understanding both the benefits and the risks. So take your time, weigh your choices, and don't hesitate to reach out for professional advice if you need it. Thanks for joining me today on Chill Finance for Real Life. I hope you found this information helpful. Until next time, take care and stay financially savvy. Have you ever been tempted by a shiny new car or that sleek appliance, all marketed with the alluring promise of 0% financing? It sounds almost too good to be true, right? But let's take a moment to unpack this offer. 0% financing can feel like a gift from the financial gods. Imagine walking into a dealership, and instead of worrying about interest rates, you're just focusing on the price of that dream car. But here's the catch. It's not always as straightforward as it seems. Sometimes, that 0% financing can turn into a financial trap. Let's say you're eyeing a new car that costs $25,000. With 0% financing, you might think you're getting a great deal. But what if I told you that the car dealership is banking on you not reading the fine print? Often, these offers come with shorter loan terms, which means higher monthly payments. You might end up paying more than you initially planned. For example, if you financed that $25,000 car over 5 years, you'd be looking at monthly payments of around $418. That's a significant chunk of your budget. If you had financed it at a standard interest rate of 7% instead, your payments would be around $492. It's a difference of about $74 a month. But remember, with the 0% option, you're not just paying for the car, you're also missing out on potential savings elsewhere. Now, think about this. If you took that $74 and invested it instead, let's say with an average return of 7% over 5 years, you could end up with a nice little nest egg. That's the beauty of compound interest. In this case, you'd have around $4,000 saved up by the end of those 5 years. So, while 0% financing might seem appealing, it's crucial to consider the bigger picture. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are scenarios where 0% financing can be a smart choice. If you know you can pay off the loan quickly and avoid any hidden fees, it can work in your favor. Picture this. You buy that car and plan to pay it off in 2 years. Your monthly payments would only be about $1,042. If you can manage that without stretching your budget, you're golden. You've effectively used someone else's money for free, and that's a win. Still, it's essential to ask yourself a few questions before jumping in. Are you confident you can make those payments? Is this purchase necessary, or are you simply swayed by the allure of 0%? Remember, just because it's 0% doesn't mean it's the best option for your financial situation. Let's take a quick detour. Imagine you're at a buffet. Just because everything looks delicious doesn't mean you should pile your plate high. Sometimes, it's better to take a step back, evaluate what you truly need, and make a conscious decision. The same applies to financing options. Before signing on the dotted line, do your homework. Compare the total cost of the loan, factoring in any fees or potential penalties. If you're not careful, you might find yourself in a situation where the 0% financing isn't as beneficial as it seems. So, what's the takeaway here? 0% financing can be both a blessing and a curse. It's essential to weigh your options carefully. Always remember to look beyond the flashy offers and think about your overall financial health. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever taken advantage of a 0% financing deal? How did it work out for you? Drop your experiences in the comments below. Your story could help someone else navigate this tricky financial landscape. When we talk about 0% financing, it sounds like a dream come true, right? But let's peel back the layers and look at the brutal truth. First, we need to understand what 0% financing really means. It's often offered by dealerships or retailers, allowing you to buy something without paying interest. Sounds great, but it's crucial to look at the bigger picture. Let's say you want to buy a car that costs $20,000. With 0% financing, you might think you're saving a ton of money. But what if that same car comes with hidden cost? For instance, if you don't have a good credit score, the dealer might offer you a higher price for the car. Now, let's assume we're looking at an alternative scenario. Suppose you take a loan for $20,000 at an interest rate of 7% for 5 years. We'll keep the math straightforward. To find out how much you'll pay in total, we can use the formula for monthly payments on an installment loan. The formula is the loan amount multiplied by the monthly interest rate divided by 1 minus 1 plus the monthly interest rate raised to the power of negative total number of payments. Let's break it down. First, we need to calculate the monthly interest rate. 7% annual interest means we divide by 12, giving us 0.05833333. Next, the total number of payments over 5 years is 60. Now, plugging these numbers into our formula, the monthly payment comes out to approximately $412.36. Now, if we multiply that monthly payment by the total number of payments, we get $412.36 times 60, which equals $25,342.16. So, if you finance the car at 7%, you're actually paying over $5,000 more than the original price. But hold on a second. What if you're offered 0% financing for the same car? You might think you're saving money, but let's look at how this could play out differently. Imagine the dealership offers you that 0% deal, but they raise the price of the car to $22,000. With 0% financing for 5 years, your monthly payment would be $366.67. Over the same 5 years, you'd pay a total of $22,000. Now, here's the kicker. You thought you were getting a great deal, but you actually paid more because of that inflated price. This is where the danger of 0% financing lies. It can seem appealing, but if the price is jacked up, you could end up paying more than if you had taken a loan at a reasonable interest rate. Let's switch gears for a moment. Think about the last time you bought something on credit. Did you really understand the full cost? Or were you just focused on that shiny 0% tag? Here's a quick recap. 0% financing can be a great tool if you're disciplined and the price remains fair. But if the price is inflated, you might be better off with a traditional loan, even if it comes with interest. Now, let's talk about a scenario where 0% financing can be smart. If you're in a position to pay off the loan quickly, it can be beneficial. For instance, if you can pay off that $20,000 car in 1 year, you won't pay any interest. That means you only need to pay $1,666.67 each month. At the end of the year, you'll have paid $20,000, and you walk away without any interest charges. That's a win. But remember, discipline is key. If you miss a payment or can't pay it off in time, you could be in for a surprise. So, what's the takeaway here? 0% financing isn't inherently good or bad. It depends on the situation. Always ask yourself, am I getting a fair price? And here's a question for you. Have you ever been lured in by a 0% deal only to find out later that it wasn't such a great bargain? As we wrap up, keep in mind that understanding the true cost is essential. Whether it's 0% financing or a traditional loan, make sure you're making informed choices. Take a moment to think about your next purchase. Will you ask the right questions? Will you look beyond the shiny offers? Your financial health depends on it. Meet Sarah, a 32-year-old teacher with a passion for travel. Last summer, she found herself eyeing a brand new SUV. The dealership was offering 0% financing for 60 months. Sarah thought, what a deal. I can drive my dream car and not pay any interest. But here's the catch, she didn't account for the total cost. Sarah's dream SUV had a sticker price of $30,000. With 0% financing, her monthly payment would be $500 for 60 months. That totals $30,000, right? Well, not quite. She was also tempted to add on some extras, like an extended warranty and a fancy sound system, bringing her total to $35,000. Now, if she had taken a traditional loan at a 7% interest rate instead, her monthly payments would have been about $650. Over 5 years, she would pay about $39,000 in total. So, while 0% financing sounds fantastic, Sarah realized she had to be careful about what she was really paying for. Next, let's meet James, a 25-year-old who just got his first job in tech. Excited to establish his independence, he decided to buy a new laptop. The store offered 0% financing for 12 months. James thought, this is perfect. I can pay it off in a year without any extra cost. But here's where it gets tricky. The laptop cost $1,000. If James made monthly payments of about $84, he'd pay the full amount in 12 months. However, he didn't consider the impact on his budget. He had student loans and rent to pay. When unexpected expenses hit, like a car repair, James struggled to keep up with his laptop payments. If he missed a payment, the store could charge him a high interest rate retroactively. Suddenly, that 0% financing didn't feel so safe anymore. Now, let's switch gears and talk about Linda, a 45-year-old single mom. She was looking for a way to finance her daughter's college tuition. She found a private lender offering 0% financing for a year on personal loans. Sounded like a lifesaver. But Linda needed $20,000 for tuition. With 0% financing, she thought she could easily manage the payments. What she didn't realize was that after 1 year, The loan would convert to a high interest rate of around 7%. If she couldn't pay it off within that year, her monthly payments would jump significantly, costing her more in the long run. Linda learned the hard way that 0% financing can be a trap if you don't have a solid plan to pay it off quickly. Then there's Mark, a 40-year-old small business owner. He was looking to upgrade his equipment and saw an enticing offer for 0% financing on a new machine. Mark thought it was a smart move for his business cash flow. The machine cost $50,000, and with 0% financing, he could pay it off in 5 years with monthly payments of $1,000. However, Mark had to consider his business's cash flow. If sales dipped, could he still afford those payments? When business slowed down, Mark found himself struggling to keep up with the payments. He realized that while 0% financing looked appealing, it could become a burden if he didn't have steady income. Lastly, let's talk about Emily, a 30-year-old who was excited to furnish her new apartment. She saw a furniture store offering 0% financing for 18 months. What a great way to get everything I need without interest, she thought. Emily bought furniture totaling $10,000. Her monthly payments would be about $550. But she didn't factor in her other expenses, like utilities and groceries. When she overspent on her credit card, she missed a payment. Suddenly, the store charged her a high interest rate on her balance. Emily learned that 0% financing can be risky if you don't keep track of your spending. So, what's the takeaway here? 0% financing can be a useful tool, but it's crucial to understand the full picture. Always consider your budget, future expenses, and your ability to pay off the loan on time. How have you navigated financing decisions in your life? Have you ever been tempted by a 0% financing offer? It sounds like a dream come true, right? But let's dive deeper into the brutal truth behind these deals. First, understand that 0% financing can be a great tool if used wisely. It allows you to make purchases without paying interest. B, this can help you manage cash flow better. C, however, D, it's crucial to read the fine print. Some deals come with hidden fees or penalties that can outweigh the benefits. Now, let's talk about timing. 0% financing is often tied to promotional periods. A, if you can pay off the balance before the promotional period ends, you're golden. B, but if you miss that deadline, the interest can skyrocket. C, imagine paying a high interest rate on a purchase you thought was interest-free. D, so, make sure you have a solid plan to pay it off in time. Next, consider your spending habits. A 0% financing can be tempting and lead to impulse buying. B, ask yourself, do I really need this item? C, if you're not careful, you might end up with debt that feels like a financial burden. D, always prioritize your needs over wants, even when financing seems easy. Let's not forget about opportunity cost. When you take on debt, you're tying up your future income. B, this means less money available for savings or investments. C, for example, if you finance a new gadget, think about how that money could grow if invested instead. D, wouldn't you rather see your money work for you? Also, be aware of your credit score. A 0% financing often requires a good credit score. B, if you're not in that category, you might get higher rates instead. C, this can lead to more financial strain than anticipated. D, always check your credit score before applying for any financing options. Now, let's get real about risk. If your financial situation changes, you may struggle to make payments. B, this could lead to missed payments and damage to your credit score. C, have you thought about what might happen if you lose your job or face unexpected expenses? D, it's vital to have a backup plan in place. Finally, remember that 0% financing isn't always the best option. Sometimes, paying cash up front can save you money in the long run. B, you avoid the risk of debt and potential interest charges. C, so, next time you see that enticing offer, ask yourself, is this really worth it? D, your financial future depends on the choices you make today. Alright, now let's zoom out and recap. 0% financing can be beneficial if you're informed and disciplined, but it can also lead to financial pitfalls if you're not careful. What are your thoughts on 0% financing? Have you ever used it wisely or faced challenges? Share your experiences in the comments. Have you ever been tempted by that shiny offer of 0% financing? It sounds great, right? But let's pause for a moment. What if I told you that not all 0% financing deals are created equal? Some folks might say, but it's free money. I can buy that new car or appliance without paying interest. Sure, feels like a win. But here's the catch. What happens if you miss a payment? Suddenly, that 0% can skyrocket to a high interest rate. Imagine paying hundreds more because of a single mistake. Now, let's consider another perspective. If you're disciplined and know you can pay it off within the promotional period, it can be a smart move. But remember, life happens. Unexpected expenses can pop up, and that budget you planned can go out the window. Here's a quick story. A friend of mine took a 0% financing deal on a new laptop. He thought he could pay it off in 6 months. But then his car broke down, and he had to dip into that budget. By the end of the year, he ended up paying a lot more than he bargained for. So, what do you think? Is 0% financing a blessing or a curse? It really depends on your financial habits and your ability to stick to a plan. Before you jump into that deal, ask yourself, can you handle the potential pitfalls? If you're not sure, it might be wiser to consider other options. Let's keep the conversation going. Have you ever faced a situation where 0% financing turned out to be more dangerous than you expected? Share your stories in the comments below. Have you ever seen an enticing offer for 0% financing and thought, this is too good to be true? Well, you might be right. 0% financing can be a smart choice, but it can also lead you down a dangerous path if you're not careful. Let's break it down. When you see 0% financing, it usually means you're borrowing money without paying interest. This sounds great, right? But here's the catch. These deals often come with hidden fees or terms that can trip you up. For example, if you miss a payment, you might suddenly face a hefty interest rate. So, it's crucial to read the fine print. Now, let's consider when 0% financing can be beneficial. If you're planning to pay off the amount quickly, it's a fantastic way to make a purchase without extra costs. Imagine buying a new appliance for $1,000 and paying it off in 6 months. That's $1,000 without any interest. Just remember to budget for those payments. On the flip side, if you think you can handle it but end up carrying a balance longer than intended, you could find yourself in trouble. What happens if you decide to finance a car for 5 years? If you miss just one payment, you could end up paying a lot more than you bargained for. Alright, now let's zoom out. The key is to ask yourself, can I afford the monthly payments? If the answer is yes and you're disciplined with your finances, 0% financing might be a smart move. But if there's any doubt, it could be a slippery slope. So, what do you think? Have you ever used 0% financing? Share your experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on making smart financial decisions. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the brutal truth about 0% financing. It can be a smart choice, but it also carries risks. Here are 5 key takeaways. 0% financing can help you save on interest if you pay on time. It's essential to read the fine print. Hidden fees can add up. Only consider this option if you can afford the monthly payments without strain. Compare offers. Not all 0% deals are created equal. Be cautious of the temptation to overspend just because the financing seems attractive. Remember, a smart financial choice today can lead to a brighter tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore budgeting tips that actually work in real life. Until next time, keep your finances chill and your goals clear.